Continuing the plot of the previous film, Frodo, Sam, and Gollum make their final way toward Mount Doom to destroy the ring, unaware of Gollum's true intentions. While Merry, Pippin, Gandalf, Aragorn, Legolas, Gimli, and their allies join forces against Sauron and his legions from Mordor. Visually breathtaking and emotionally powerful, this film is a satisfying conclusion to a great trilogy. The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King is a 2003 epic fantasy adventure film directed by Peter Jackson from a screenplay by Fran Walsh, Philippa Boyens, and Jackson. It is based on 1955's The Return of the King, the third volume of the novel The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien, the sequel to 2002's The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. The film is the third installment in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Like the previous films in the trilogy, The Return of the King is widely recognized as one of the greatest and most influential films ever made. The film received numerous accolades at the 76th Academy Awards. It won all 11 awards for which it was nominated, including Best Picture, the first fantasy film to do so, and tying with 1959's Ben-Hur and 1997's Titanic as the movie with the most Academy Award wins. It also became the second film series whose entries have all won Best Visual Effects after the original Star Wars trilogy. Along with The Godfather, the Lord of the Rings trilogy shares the distinction that all of its installments were nominated for Best Picture. Additionally, The Godfather Part 2 and The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King are so far the only sequels to win Best Picture. Smeagol, played by Andy Serkis, is fishing with his cousin Diego, who discovers the ring in the river. The ring immediately ensnares Smeagol's mind and he kills his cousin for it. Increasingly corrupted physically and mentally, he retreats into the Misty Mountains and becomes known as Gollum. Jackson's Middle-earth was primarily designed by Alan Lee and John Howe, who had earlier illustrated editions of Tolkien's books. It was created by Weta Workshop, who handled all the trilogy's weapons, armor, miniatures, prosthetics, and creatures. The city of Minas Tirith, glimpsed briefly in both the previous two films, is seen fully in this film, and with it, the Gondorian civilization. Centuries later, during the War of the Ring, Gandalf, played by Ian McKellen, leads Aragorn, played by Viggo Mortensen, Legolas, played by Orlando Bloom, Gimli, played by John Davis, and King Theoden of Rohan, played by Bernard Hill, to Isengard, where they reunite with Merry, played by Dominic Monaghan, and Pippin, played by Billy Boyd. Gandalf retrieves Saruman's Palantir, and the group returns to Edoras to celebrate their victory at Helm's Deep. Pippin looks into the Palantir, seeing Sauron and a burning tree. Gandalf deduces that the enemy plans to attack Gondor's capital Minas Tirith. He rides there to warn Gondor's corrupt steward, Denethor, played by John Noble. On Gandalf's instruction, Pippin triggers the lighting of the beacons, which call for help from Rohan. The third film gathers all of the plot points towards the great battle at Minas Tirith. Here the doom of our time will be decided. The Return of the King contains 1,489 visual effect shots, nearly 3 times the number from the first film and almost twice that of the second. As with the two previous films, Jim Regil served as the visual effects supervisor. In this part, Hobbit's back in action in a big way. Frodo, played by Elijah Wood, who carries the ring, and Sam, played by Sean Astin, continue their journey towards Mordor, unaware that Gollum, now their guide, plans to betray them and take the ring for himself. The trio witnesses the Witch King of Angmar, Lord of the Nine Nazgul, setting off towards Gondor with his army of orcs. Gollum conspires to frame Sam for eating food supplies and desiring the ring. Influenced by the growing power of the ring, Frodo is taken in by the deception and orders Sam to go home. Gollum then tricks Frodo into venturing into the lair of the giant spider Shelob. Frodo narrowly escapes and confronts Gollum, who falls down a chasm after a scuffle. Shelob discovers, paralyzes, and binds Frodo, but is wounded and driven away by returning Sam, who, mourning Frodo's apparent death, takes the ring. Sam realizes his mistake when orcs take Frodo captive, but manages to rescue Frodo as the orcs fight among themselves. Now inside Mordor, the hobbits continue towards Mount Doom. As King Theoden gathers his army, Elrond, played by Hugo Weaving, tells Aragorn that Arwen, played by Liv Tyler, is dying, having refused to leave Middle-earth. Elrond gives Aragorn Anduril, reforged from the shards of the King Elendil's sword Narsil, and urges him to commit to claiming Gondor's throne, to which he is hired. Joined by Legolas and Gimli, Aragorn travels the paths of the dead and pledges to release the ghosts there from their curse, but they should come to Gondor's aid. Meanwhile, Faramir, played by David Wenham, who was earlier overwhelmed and driven back to Minas Tirith by the Witch King, is gravely wounded. Believing his son has died, Denethor falls into madness. Gandalf marshals the defenders, but the huge orc army breaks into the city. The music was composed by Howard Shore, who previously composed the first two parts of the trilogy. Theoden arrives and leads his army against the orcs. Despite initial success in the ensuing battle, they are decimated by the elephant-riding Haradrim, and the Witch King mortally wounds Theoden. However, his niece Yovin, played by Miranda Otto, slays the Witch King with Merry's help. Theoden dies in his niece's arms. Aragorn then arrives with his army of the dead, who overcome Sauron's forces. Their oath is fulfilled and the dead are released from their curse. Aragorn decides to march on Mordor to distract Sauron from Frodo and Sam. All of Sauron's remaining forces march to meet Aragorn's diversion, allowing the hobbits to reach Mount Doom. Galadriel, played by Kate Blanchett, helps Frodo while he is unconscious and weak. Gollum, who survived his earlier fall, attacks them, but Frodo manages to enter the mountain. There he succumbs to the ring's power, putting it on his finger, but Gollum manages to bite off his finger and reclaim it, leading to a scuffle before they stumble off the ledge. Frodo manages to clinch on, and Sam pulls him up as Gollum falls to his death in the lava, taking the ring with him. Vanquishing Sauron once and for all, Aragorn's army emerges victorious as its enemies and the lands of Mordor collapse into the earth, and Mount Doom erupts, with Frodo and Sam narrowly escaping. Gandalf rescues the hobbits with the help of an eagle, and the surviving fellowship is happily reunited in Minas Tirith. Aragorn is crowned king of Gondor and marries Arwen. They and others go to the hobbits. The hobbits return home to the Shire, where Sam marries Rosie Cotton. 4 years later, Frodo, still plagued by the pain of his wound inflicted by the Witch King and suffering from trauma, departs Middle-earth for the Undying Lands with his uncle Bilbo, Gandalf, and the elves. He leaves Sam the Red Book of Westmarch, which details their adventures. Sam returns to the Shire, where he embraces Rosie and their children. In this trilogy, I like this film the most. Enjoy the film. If you enjoyed this video, then please like and share this video. Do subscribe to the channel and don't forget to click the bell icon.